conference is Socio-Innovation Summit, so maybe we'll have to get into the boring technical details in this session. May not necessarily be boring, but also interesting because a lot of students are here who would be very interested in the technological aspects of socio-innovation. And also Dr. Bala Guruswamy, who is actually an icon in the field of technology and how he has actually brought about transformation through technological innovations across the country. And his own story of growth, from a lot of challenges that he faced while growing up and becoming the person that he is today. So there's a lot of compassion in this person who has actually used technology to bring about equity and equality and access and granting access to technology to various students from across the spectrum, not just the rich, but the poor as well. So that's the theme behind this summit. And so without much ado, we'll get into the nitty-gritties of what is socio-innovation. And so let's begin with the definition. Socio-innovation is using creative technological solutions as well as creative social solutions to bring about empowerment. And in this summit, we look at how socio-innovation brings about empowerment specifically to women. So that would be the theme going. And so if you see globally, so there have been a lot of best practices, Denmark, Sweden, all of them have exemplifying, case studies of how they've used socio-innovation, especially in the field of sustainable development, and how they've actually used renewable energy to power entire cities. And also, while doing that, not just technology, but they also empower the communities to use these facilities. And so there's both, it's a twin, thing of empowering communities as well as driving innovation and technology from the top down. So it's both top down and bottoms up, so global best practices that we can see. But if you look at our own country, if you see the last decade, what's happening in this country has been a lot of socio-innovation transformation. I'm sure we will all agree that digital platforms has been the basis of bringing about developmental transformation in the country. Digital platforms has been the key to implementing various public programs. Since I come from that background, I should perhaps throw some light on how digital platforms has actually enabled effective implementation of public policies and public programs. The first was the direct benefit transfer, which the government of India introduced. Of course, it has been a concept that's been there for long, but it's been implemented with a lot of efficacy in this government, which is actually directly transferring the subsidies to the beneficiaries and cutting down a lot of middlemen and a lot of layers of bureaucracy in between, like the famous quote of Rajiv Gandhi, which said that only 10 paise reaches the last mile from a rupee. So that entire concept has been, the myth has been broken, and there is the direct transfer happening to the beneficiaries. Through programs like MG Narega, the direct benefit transfer has actually helped greatly in improving the efficiency of delivery of programs like MG Narega, which has actually brought in a lot of economic empowerment to our rural women. Apart from MG Narega, there have been various other programs. You must have all heard about the Ujjwala Yojana, the Awas Yojana, then so many benefits to women, like the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, that was ridiculed upon in the initial days, that you're opening up an account for everybody, but there's a zero balance. But today, we have 49 crore beneficiaries in the Jan Dhan Yojana, of which 50% are women beneficiaries. So that's great socio-innovation at scale, which you're seeing, which is actually moving towards, it's achieving the target of women empowerment through such scaled-up technological platforms. Apart from this, there are also various private, small case studies, which are very pockets of excellence and, kind of glowing examples of socio-innovation at its peak, like the Seva Bank in Gujarat, which actually empowers women to, economically as well. So it's a very, very much touted, much acclaimed, award-winning case study of Seva in Gujarat. And then we have the Pani scheme in Maharashtra, which actually uses community-driven initiatives. They empower women to collect water, and a lot of very interesting case studies of how women have collected water on the ground. And so that's again an example of socio-innovation. Then the famous case study of Lijjat Papad, I think that's also a great example of socio-innovation. Today, Lijjat Papad employs about 45,000 women across the country. So there is a lot of public-private partnerships, private sector initiatives, Government of India's initiatives towards socio-innovation. So this is just to set the context, to see how at scale as well as in very micro level initiatives have been taken up in socio-innovation in the country as well as globally. So without much ado, I'll go to my esteemed panelists. So we have to the left, since I spoke about global best practices, I'll start with Natarajan ji, who's been an IFS officer with a lot of experience, almost 37 years of experience in various countries. He's witnessed a lot of case studies, successful case studies, and we were just talking yesterday also about his experiences. So we'd love to hear from you, sir, as to how, what are the case studies that you would like to highlight in socio-innovation, which has been successful in any country that you want to speak about?
First of all, thank you so much, Madam Vinita Hariharan, and the other panelist here, Dr. Aram from Shanti Ashram. First of all, Madam Vinita, before I answer your questions, I would like to say a few words here to the audience. The month of October has become very favorite month for me. After meeting Dr. E. Balaguruswamy, we all address him as Dr. EBG. So why? There are reasons to like the October month. Mahatma Gandhi born in October. Former Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri born in October. The United Nations of Organization was founded in October, 24th October. And my father was born in October. So it makes a lot of sense for me. And Dr. Balaguruswamy born in October. So why? That's why it has become a favorite month for me. And we are holding this first summit, the Innovative Summit we are holding in October. So it makes a lot of sense for me to be very happy. So thank you very much, Dr. EBG, for organizing this. Well, when we talk about the women empowerment, அதாவது தமிழில் வந்து பெண்கள் அதிகாரம் என்று கூறலாம். அந்த பெண்கள் அதிகாரம் வந்து ஆரம்பமே Dr. Bindu said that India is not giving opportunity to women, but in this region, in
view as well, where we can do well, where we should do better. And I think while China's story brings in the contribution of women in the workforce, I think China's story is incomplete in the social space. And India, in that way, I think we've had a much more reflective way of taking it forward. I want to remember two women, anecdotally here. One is Dr. T.S. Soundaram. Dr. T.S. Soundaram is the illustrious daughter of the TVS family. When India won independence, she was a young bride. She was going to be married and she lost her husband. And the spirit of the freedom movement, I think, is something that I want to speak about. And the spirit of the movement was articulated by Mahatma Gandhi, but I think it benefited from the deep dialogue that was there. And Gandhiji often was heard to say, political freedom is only from England. What we want is freedom from our own prejudices. And in 2024, when we speak of social innovation, that call is still important. So we've come a long way. Women are studying. All the young women here, if they trace back in their own families, many of them will be first-generation graduates, first-generation postgraduates, first-generation PhD scholars. And that's, a very intimate viewing. But I think the fact that we are speaking of social innovation means there is much more to be done in the space of equality, equity, and empowerment. If you don't have that sense of equality socially, equity then becomes a half-hearted investment. And if investment is not done, no returns can come in eco-society. So let me speak about two areas in terms of social innovation. One, I think, is health. You know, all educationists across the country have much to be proud of. I think what we have done in the space of education, we have a lot of work to be done in the health space. And here there is the power of social innovation. Because if you ask me as a public health expert, as a pediatrician, I would say no cognitive development can be layered without food and nutritional security, without good health. And today, industry is counting the opportunity cost of disease and malnutrition. So the same women of the same age in another country, the countries that Mr. Natarajan has mentioned, are more productive because they have addressed the root problem, which is health and nutrition. Swami Vivekananda many years ago told us, to a hungry, God dare not appear in any other form than food. And in a post-COVID setting, we must all know one of the big crises is, of course, in conflicts and wars, and I want to present it to the august audience here. Since World War II, this is a moment in history where the greatest number of children have been affected by violence. They're refugees, they're out of school, and they are parked on the sidelines. What does this mean? We are looking at a future which requires our immediate attention. But in the same space, I think I also want to speak about food and health security, because the cost of food, the distribution of food, which is an important part, and the production of food collectively are challenged because of the climate crisis and the conflict. When Ukraine went to war, one of the first UN organizations that stood up was the World Food Programme. Ukraine was the wheat basket, the bread basket of the world. Now, I speak of this, Dr. Vinita, because I think in India, we have enough. Our production is very good thanks to the Green Revolution. And we have much to be proud of. Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, with whom I had the great honor to work for the last decade, would say, when he won the World Food Prize and he said, India will have enough food and surplus for this country, people thought it was a little bit of a daydream. Fast forward to COVID-19 pandemic, 556 days of school closures, we still had enough food for our children. But we can't take it for granted, Vinita. Productivity per acre is coming down. Washing out of crops is happening because of untimely floods and rains. And distribution sometimes comes into danger. I speak of this in women's empowerment because counting women is not enough. Investing in women will need two-prong approach. One is the very bottom of the Maslow's triangle, which is fundamental needs: food, water, security. And the second is the agency of the women. And here is where social innovation can play a part in both. I don't know how many of us, the young people here, I think must really welcome this news. India as a nation has made its food security program through the public distribution system universal. Meaning it doesn't matter if you're born in Bihar or Tamil Nadu or Karnataka or Kashmir, your PDS card can get you minimum calories anywhere. Now this to me is social innovation aided by technology. Because if you go into a ration shop today, you can plug your numbers in, it goes to a grid. That is addressing a fundamental need. The other, of course, is agency. And I see this across in Tamil Nadu. I'm sure Professor Balaguruswamy, when he started off his professional career, would never have imagined a woman in Kalikanayakan saying, I can pay from here. The phone. She controlled, in some ways, her own money. She controlled her future, therefore, and her present. So I think the two areas that I feel we have to keep our attention on, besides counting women, is investing in women. Technology is an aggregator, but technology is also a great grid for monitoring. It cannot replace policy, neither can it replace practice, but it can be a great connector and a great disruptor in problems that we have not solved before. And the other thing that I feel technology does is at a very fundamental level. I remember the American poet Maya Angelou saying, every time a woman stands up, she stands up for herself, but also for a million other women, because her voice, her cry, her thought is augmenting what many women feel. And I feel there too, in the space of articulating what are the needs of women, we in India in the 2020s are a generation in transition, Vinita. We have women who are still fighting basic battles. Let us not get confused or carried away from that. 18% of India is still below poverty line, and a significant number of women still have to be dependent. Policy is there. Census counts women-headed families. Women inherit property today. But it's one thing to have policy, it's another thing to influence practice. And so, to your first question, the status, I would say we've come a long way, but there are critical areas that we have to do more. Health and nutrition is a fundamental area where I think India, if it wants to leap and do the quantum leap, have to invest in women. For me, it is not agreeable that 1 out of 2 women in India is anemic, and therefore, the inference is there is silent hunger. This doesn't tally to the global image of a successful country. On the other hand, I think the voice of women within India and across India, I think is heard. It is heard because of what Mr. Natarajan said. Decades of hard work, years of belief that our work can never be replaced. Again, to quote Gandhiji, all work is half done if women are not involved, he said. And I think the fact that we are sitting in a panel today here at the Social Innovation Summit, where we have just tipped the balance, I think will be a story of India's women and men as they go forward. And we are comfortable with the tipping and the equality that is the vision that modern India dreams about. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Vinu. I mean, I think you covered so many points, right from history to how we've grown to the present moment, how good it looks and also how bad it looks. Definitely, you know, we can't have rose-tinted glasses when we look at our development scenario. We have to introspect and look at the challenges and see how we can address these challenges going further. But some pointers to what you said, like using technology to ensure nutritional efficacy in India, the portion tracker is a good example of how government actually tracks malnutrition in children under 5 and also pregnant and lactating mothers. I think that's a great initiative, a long way to go, work in progress, but definitely a laudable initiative of the government. And then when you talk of food surplus, you know, it's ironic that we have PDS outlets actually having surplus food, but food really doesn't reach the last mile even today. So distribution networks have to be looked upon. And how can we use technology to improve the efficiency of our food distribution networks? I think a lot of students over here perhaps can kind of, you know, rack their brains as to how they can bring about socio-innovation in aspects like ensuring food security and ensuring how health initiatives can be digitized and how technology can play a role in scaling up health initiatives of the government as well as from the community-driven initiatives. I think those are some pointers to think about. In your initial part of your address, you spoke about how India is traditionally very empowered. You know, our girl child was celebrated. Now again it's celebrated, while a lot of gap in between we condoned and we kind of mourned the birth of a girl child. But today we're again celebrating the girl child birth. So I think that's a great, you know, back in time kind of progress. But, you know, from the days of when we had, you know, even today we have empowered women prime minister, we had women prime minister, we have women chief ministers, which many countries did, like the US of A is supposed to be the most progressive country, so to speak, in the globe, but they still haven't had a women president. If, I don't know, we will have one soon, but hopefully we would have gender representation in the US of A as well. But so India has shown the way to the globe in many respects, traditionally, historically. You know, where did we go wrong, sir? Like many, you know, even today, if you look at statistics like Dr. Vinu just mentioned, even the, you know, statistics in women's safety is not very bright. we have a lot of cases of rape, and every day in the newspaper you find some news which involves a girl child, which involves girl infants, which involves crime against a girl child. So that's really, really saddening, and it's actually very I wouldn't say saddening. It's shocking to see that how on one hand we have empowered women chief ministers, we have women leaders, we have so many things that women are doing in different aspects of our development. But at the same time, you have such, horrible tragedies that affect women only because of the ill deeds of some men. So, how do you think, are there any things that you can take from any country that you've served as a foreign officer as to how we can replicate those policies? I know, today we have a democracy which is double-edged sword. Definitely, of course, we cannot do away with democracy. We're not saying we need to be an autocratic country, but with democracy, can't we have a healthy democracy? Can't we have policies that are, implemented successfully, especially with reference to women's safety? So you think there are any initiatives which also the younger generation can take forward in terms of technological interventions to ensure women's safety?
Thank you, Madam Vinita. It's a very important and sensitive issue what she raised. The safety and security of women is a most important thing in any part of the world. And when we talk about the atrocities committed in our country, we feel ashamed. See, whether it was nearby or the recent incident in Kolkata, these are all very sadistic part in our life. She may not be our sister or daughter or whosoever it is, but she's our sister, she's our daughter, but it's happening. Well, Madam Vinita, before coming to your answer, even I would say, even our constitution says that as one of the main features that we have to respect the women. It's a main feature. Women, children, and elderly people, senior citizens. We are supposed to respect them. It has to start from my home. As in the plenary session, one of the speakers rightly said about it, that everything has to start from me. It has to start from my home. See, if I don't give enough respect to my spouse or my daughters, you cannot expect me to give respect to outside people. So it has to start from my house. I am frankly telling, seriously telling, I give lot of respect to women, children, especially the girls, and senior citizens. This includes my wife and my children also. For example, I can say only one thing, that recently I have written a book. I have handed over a copy to one of the Mr. Vijay Shankar. In the book at the end I have written that so far that my wife served me, cooking and washing or whatever it is. She used to look after me and my children. But after retirement, I have taken an oath and I have written very categorically in my book that I told my wife, my Shanti, Madam, all these years you served for me, from today onwards I will serve. So most of the time I am in the kitchen. I broom the house, I cook, and I wash clothes also sometimes. I do everything. I am not saying for the sake of talking or speaking, but I do this. Why? We have to give respects to women. So, our children, especially the girls, should not feel insecure or unsafe when they are walking in the street. But why? நம்ம பேரண்ட்ஸை பார்த்துக்கிடுங்க, ஒரு பெண்மணி அவங்க குழந்தை மகள் வெளியில் போகிறான்னா அது எந்த டைமாக இருந்தாலும் சரி, குறிப்பாக ஈவினிங் டைமாக இருந்தால் எங்கே போகிற, எந்த டைமில் போகிற, யார் கூட போகிற, எப்போ திருப்பி வருது, இந்த கேள்விகள் எதுக்கு எழும்புது? ஏன்னா we don't feel secure. In foreign countries, in Europe or any country, the parents don't ask all this. Why they don't ask? It may be happening, but they don't ask because generally it doesn't happen. I was in European countries also. I have never seen The parents are checking or asking their daughters. So all these questions. So Bharat Mata nama solron, that's not enough. We have to do more, far beyond. We have to go far, far beyond that simply saying Bharat Mata will not do. So the responsibility falls on each and every man. We have to see that the woman, whosoever is walking or whosoever is talking to you or you are meeting, that they could be our mother, they could be our sister or daughter or grandchild, whosoever it is. We have to first respect. That is how we can improve. And innovation, when it comes to innovation, why it is not taking onwards? Because the women feel insecure. Nevertheless, having said all these, we are, the Indian government, the state governments, as far as possible, they are trying to give equality to women and a lot of opportunities to women to come up on their own. For example, Madam, the chairperson is here of Shanti Ashram. I feel very proud of you that you are heading an organization, important. Maybe it is an NGO? Yes. So, even here, we have to give empowerment. Take, for example, the stage here. We have given empowerment. I am minority and they are majority. So, this is how we have to see the perspective, from perspective point of view, this is how it goes. I have met a lot of ladies, especially whether it is Madam Aram or Madam Vinita or Madam Parvati here, and then Dr. Bindu. They are, we have given some powers. It's not that we are not giving. We are trying to extend. We are trying to give more and more to you people. No doubt about it. In my home, I am not the boss. My wife is the boss. Whether it is finance, whether it is property, everything is there, not mine. So, I can assure you that here most of the men have given empowerment to women only. So, I am sure, I think you are one of the examples and you are one of the examples. So, we are giving, but still we feel that it's not enough. And innovations, when it comes to innovations, I met you yesterday, I am meeting you today, and I met Madam Parvati today, and there are so many other people, and Madam Priya here, we have given opportunity for them to innovate. So the government is also trying their best to give more opportunities for the women to innovate. And as a fellow citizen, as an Indian, I can say only one thing, that we must, whosoever it is, we must give respect to women. From there it will start everything. If we start giving respect to them, automatically everything will follow in line. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. So I think sitting in the panel here is just organically that we are here in the stage. So I don't think any gender empowers any gender. But definitely, sir, thank you for this stage. But I think it just shows that we've kind of rising towards gender neutrality in all aspects of development. Although there are still, India lives in many centuries at the same time. As I said, there are excellent examples of women leadership. Be it in the corporate world, be it in the government, be it in the political field, or any field in the science, in the fields of science and technology. We have very, very proven women leaders, but at the same time, we also have women who are suffering in homes today with torture and rape, and safety of women is definitely a concern. So as we were inviting participants, Dr. Bindu had suggested me to get in touch with a lady who has an app, runs an app called Safety Pin, which ensures safety of women. I think if there are students here in this crowd, they could perhaps look at what Safety Pin does and how you can actually build models like that to improve safety of women in your own communities, in your own localities, in your own neighborhoods. Which I think is the answer, starting from the neighborhood, and then you go to the state, and then the national level statistics automatically improve when state and community level statistics improve. So with that, we come to the final round, which is we need to conclude this session. So we've spoken a lot of things, a lot of very, very interesting anecdotes given by Natarajan ji about his foreign service and how women leaders have set an example to other women leaders, and also by practice they have actually been examples of how women can be empowered, and also spoken about how we can inculcate values of respect and empowerment at homes, which will definitely lead to empowerment in the country. And we also looked at, Dr. Vinu spoke about statistics across India and how we have grown from being a women-empowered society. Traditionally, we were women-empowered, then we lost it, we lost the story, we lost the plot in between. But again, we are getting those statistics back again, but it's work in progress, a lot of work remaining to be done, especially in the field of health and education. Yeah, definitely agree on that aspect. So now I know, what is the roadmap? Let's discuss the roadmap ahead, especially how can we involve the younger generation in coming out with innovative solutions, specifically using technology, that will go a long way in perhaps health and education sector.
Thank you, Dr. Vinita. And I think this question puts us really to the how and where and what we can do. I think when we speak broadly of women's empowerment, the three critical sectors for me, one is the investing in women. So the investing in women has to expand significantly from education to education, health and nutrition. Now, without these three building blocks, I don't think we can go forward. 75 years after independence, we have to look at some of the stubborn problems. The stubborn problems are in the area of nutritional security. The stubborn problems is accessing preventive health, not health care that comes after you're ill, but preventive health. India has a good recipe, a good prescription, but why is it not scaling up the way that we want? Health is a state subject, and so implicitly there'll have to be much more dialogue for us as a nation. Where do we want to go? Of course, also I think I'm very grateful to Professor Natarajan, because no social change emanates in a vacuum. Personal change has to be there. And therefore, for the younger people, I think is to have summits like this, where your mind is challenged to expand. Why is the other woman missing? Why are there men missing in the conversation? I don't see women's empowerment as a women-led discourse anymore. It has to be a national discourse where India says we will change these numbers. Because remember, for every woman who is raped or violated, there is a man who is criminal. So the stats has two sides. So for all the young people here, and I have to tell you, during COVID, I was on one of the Vishakha committees for a very, very important group, I may say it, for the Taj group. And the sincerity with which the Taj group works on these issues was moving. But it was also, Professor Balagoswami, a changing moment for me, because I serve on a few committees. It was the first time we had to let go of a female employee for sexual harassment. So I think, these are moments where we even step beyond gender and say, how are we as people? So the first block is the social sector. I know when the social sector is not invested, it doesn't give returns the way that an economic sector gives, but the economic sector is deeply dependent on the social sector. People come to Tamil Nadu because it's a safe state. I don't have to think in Coimbatore, and every young woman or man here can say at 11 o'clock to drive in Coimbatore. I do have to think about it in the national capital. And the second thing is very simple when it comes to social innovation, depending on the professions of their choice. I speak of public health because pediatrics and public health is my area. Every area has problems. Innovation and social innovation comes when you think that problem can be solved. And when do you feel empowered to think a problem is solved? When you have science and technology giving us solutions, technology for dissemination, monitoring, but you also have social backing for it. That is when people, the pull factor or the tipping point is when society demands a better standard. So with the young people here, my request, and I have young people who have done this work before sitting in front of me, but the younger people here, you have to dream about the India you want. If you dream about the India you want, then these problems will come to you. It will surface. The data will come, the analysis will come, the solution. And then you must have what the previous generation had, perseverance and patience to solve them. I do remember about 10 years ago, I was accompanying a team from the Nobel Peace Prize Committee to Myanmar because Aung San Suu Kyi, not just President Chandrika, who was the first female president of Sri Lanka. Aung San Suu Kyi is also a student of JNU. And her first job was with the All India Radio. And you know what she told me? She said, Vinu, we look up to India for thinking ahead. And to the young people here, all the young people, you must know every fourth young person in the world is an Indian. You have the responsibility not only to think for yourself, for your family, for India, but for the world. The way you think, the way you act, the way you put knowledge into practice is the way we will shape the world. And so, Vinita, instead of being very specific, I think what I call for is not just a culture of social innovation, but a culture of deep introspection. As a city and as a society, we have to go deeper into our problems. Why is this a stubborn problem? Or the new problem, I don't know if you watched the television sets yesterday. BBC had as its headline, the conviction of a 26-year-old young man, your age, for committing an international crime. 3,000 children across 15 countries have been sexually abused by this young man sitting in a small town in Ireland. Which court can put them in? This requires societal accountability. So the third piece, the first piece is investing in the social blocks. The second is to look at technology-based solution that can scale up. This universal food security program or the portion tracker, I am so happy that India is tracking the youngest among them, the under fives. Because if we can make their start better, all the young people here must know 80% of the brain growth happens then. It doesn't happen when you're in university. But the third thing is inviting young Indians to summits like this, where social innovation, social challenges, social success is deepened in dialogue. And then you can take it in and do what you want to do. I have taken 1 in a million problem, which is giving children a healthy start to life. I think the know-how is there, technology is innate, policy is at our backing, but we need that last mile of connectivity to the most vulnerable child. Similarly, I think there are problems that can to be picked up and answered. I don't think we can enrich India if we don't invest in young boys and girls, not just in girls, young boys and girls, because if they believe they can change the problems, if they believe there is the know-how that is at their service to do more, I am sure India will be the star that it is and the star it dreams to be.
So, yeah, I think you spoke of, gender equality rather than women empowerment should be the theme, I think, going from now, gender neutrality and gender equality. Because I, for one, never considered myself as a woman in my career, I always considered myself as a professional. Maybe because, it's the kind of upbringing that I had. So, coming back to what Nutraji spoke about, it's how you treat your girl child at home. Equal to your boy child or equal to any other person, any other child, So I think that's about how opportunities you give, kind of opportunities that you give at home to the girl child. So I think that's one you spoke about. Then you spoke about state governments being in charge of the health sector. So So I think gender budgeting is something that is little neglected in our country. So we need to look at how we can increase the gender budgets and budgets of health and education. I think that really needs a focus. I wish and hope that the state government and the national government brings out a policy, and we will have to work towards that to ensure that state governments increase their spending on health, education and gender. And definitely then you spoke about things like how, also you spoke about the Ireland, the crime generated from Ireland. And so that is what we were talking about, how still women are unsafe, still the girl child is unsafe. And as we speak, we have coding going on in another room, and hopefully it's to solve the socio-innovation, women empowerment issue. And going from here, I think we can have more such tech fests and more such discussions, maybe in a smaller scale, where you introspect, you look at what issues are facing your own community. Maybe, when you start from the community, what this government also does is, saturating amenities for the Grama Panchayat. Once you start with the Grama Panchayat, you make one Grama Panchayat a model Grama Panchayat where women are safe, where women are educated, where there is literacy, where there is health, and it's like Achal ke tujhe main leke chalu, aise gagan ke tale. That's in Hindi. We take you to a sky where there is no sadness, where there is no fear, where there is no tragedy. So it's a utopian situation, but we can definitely work towards that. So sir, we'd like to really eager to hear from you. What is your roadmap, and what would you give as an advice to the younger generation going forward in ensuring women empowerment, gender equality and social innovation towards development?
Well, especially the youngsters, first of all, you need to have some aims. What you want to do. That is very important. If you focus what you want to do, then everything will fall in line. That is one thing. About the security, safety, security, it is the duty of each and everyone, both men and women. It's not only men giving security to women. Women also have to give security to men. It's equal. Again, equal gender, it has to be equal gender based. Then only we can make progress. So therefore, what I would say that we all as an Indian, we should be responsible citizens. We should be all responsible citizens and make progress together, work together, and make your country very proud. That's all I would say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Already had Dr. Balaguruswamy telling me that I need to end the session. Time's up. So ladies and gentlemen, professors, students, my friends and esteemed guests, really thank you for your attention, and I hope you found it as interesting as I did in doing this panel. Thank you very much, and I hope we come out with good roadmaps and solutions from the younger generation in Ramakrishna College. Thanking all the organizers, the faculty, the principal and everybody else at Ramakrishna College for this very interesting and socially relevant topic. And birthday greetings to you, sir. Thank you sir.
The session did an excellent job of highlighting the multifaceted issues women face in achieving empowerment across various sectors such as education, employment and leadership. The session succeeded in delivering the message that empowering women is crucial to societal progress. Thank you for informative discussion. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Vinita. That was a patient moderation.
சமூக பொதுமையாக்கத்தில் பெண்களுக்கான அதிகாரத்துவம் அளித்தல், உலகமயமாதல் பின்னணியில் வளர்ச்சிக்கான களங்களை கண்டறிதல், டிஜிட்டல் மற்றும் தொழில்நுட்ப நகர்வுகளை கையாளுதல் என்பதாகவும், உலக நாடுகளின் முன்னெடுப்புகள் என்னவாக உள்ளன என்பதாகவும் இவர்களுடைய வலிமைமிகு கலந்துரையாடல் அமைந்திருந்தது. நமது விருந்தினர் பெருமக்களை சிறப்பு செய்யும் முகமாக மிஸ் வினிதா ஹரிஹரன் மற்றும் டாக்டர் கேஸ்வினோ ஆரம் அவர்களுக்கு நினைவு பரிசு வழங்கி சிறப்பிக்குமாறு டாக்டர் இ பாலகுருசாமி ஐயா அவர்களை அன்போடு அழைக்கின்றனர்.
Excellent session. Great session.
It's such a pleasure to be in your... Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir.
Only for ladies. Not for you.
You already said that.
He's no memento for he's a part of organizer. He is an organizer, so memento for you. You both are the guests. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
சிறப்பு செய்தமைக்கும் பெற்றமைக்கும் நன்றி தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறோம். இந்த அமர்வு இனிதே நிறைவு பெறுகின்றது. அடுத்த அமர்வு உணவு இடைவெளிக்கு பிறகு தொடரும். நன்றி.